Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation. And we always tell the censors that are protecting the community guidelines that at the New Health Conversation, the one thing you can be sure of, we do not make any statements, we don't make any claims that aren't backed by peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. In other words, we read from the actual medical studies that are in the public domain. So every person that's following our podcast has the opportunity to go and see the actual proof itself. No claims, no outrageous claims. Everything we talk about is safe. Now, is it groundbreaking what we're talking about? Well, that's for the viewers to make that decision. But everything we're doing is well within community guidelines because we don't make statements that are not backed up by medical proof. So, hello everybody. Hello, Jan. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, Dania. Hello, Susan. So again, how would you like to lose 5 to 7 pounds weekly with this now proven miracle? It's published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world. It took over 40 years. There are no products involved. This is not a product deal. This is a completely new way of combining food groups, 30% from the United States and 70% from these exotic foods around the world that represent huge amounts of nutrition, like the food in North America used to have about 150 years ago. And then it's combined with a brand new way of consuming food. Hopefully, you'll find this podcast to be unbelievably instructional. And also in red right above my head, you can see the new health conversation. You can Google that. It takes you to a free medical website where the only thing on there is the medical proof. There's nothing on there that's an opinion. If you want opinions, there's plenty of people on social media. We're serious nutritional researchers. We have no products to sell. The researchers who created this, they're the top weight loss nutrition researchers in the world who've done 100 studies over 40 years on about every kind of diet out there. And they're the ones that developed this. Now, I know you think maybe it's marketing hype or something, but there's nothing to hype. The reason there's nothing to hype is it's backed by, like I said, it's published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world now. This will make every single diet out there obsolete. Now, that may sound like a bold statement, but we've got the medical proof to back it up. I'm going to show you some of the before and afters, but I wanted to kind of warn you in advance that you'll think they're photoshopped because you've never seen anything quite like this. Nobody has. And like I said, this took over 40 years of research. They did over 100 studies on human beings, literally thousands of people, and they never saw a diet that ever worked long term until now. And this is not a diet. This is a detox. Now, don't get scared about that. We're going to explain all that to you in just a moment. But first, I want to walk you through some of the other before and afters, and then I promise we'll spend whatever time we need to answer your questions and explain to you what you can do. First of all, if you Google the New Health Conversation and you go there, notice it's a free consultation. But it's not just the consultation, it's the coaching is free the whole way through. So I want to clarify that. The initial consultation, zero. The total coaching all the way through, zero. We do not charge you for coaching. We don't have any products to sell. We're researchers. But we feel our responsibility is to now make you aware of this incredible new breakthrough. So let's look at some of the people from the studies themselves. So this is pretty typical. 5 pounds a week she lost. Look at that. A little bit more, 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in just a month. Thank you all for tapping on the screen already. Thank you all very much for liking this content. We've worked very hard to bring this to all of you today. But let's just slow down for just a moment. I want you to notice, for example, you can see my big head, if I can get it out of the, there we go. Day one, look at her hips, look at her stomach, look at her waist. By the way, no one was allowed to exercise. Now, why in the world was that? Because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Otherwise, you would have said, well, it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. They weren't allowed to exercise. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. So this is the first one. That's 5 pounds a week. Now let's look at Julie, who, for the most part, is 7 pounds a week. 35 pounds in 37 days. So, okay, I'm off by a little bit, but still about 7 pounds a week. How many of you have ever lost 7 pounds in a month, let alone 7 pounds in a week, with no exercise? And look at the change in her body composition. That is not Photoshop. That is not a photo hack. It's absolutely real, okay? Now, the next picture I'm going to show you, and I'm going to warn you, it's the daughter of a friend of mine. That's not what I'm warning you about. You will think it's a different woman. You ready, everybody? How about 60 pounds in 3 months, everybody? 60 pounds in 3 months with no exercise. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her stomach area. This is going to change the world. I mean, I'm telling you right now, that the people who go to, that's the link there, the New Health Conversation. It's not a link. It's the Google search. You go to the Google search and it'll bring you to the website. And on that website, there's absolutely nothing to buy. We won't even contact you if you go there. Why would we need to do that when that's the medical proof? However, you notice right above, free coaching. The coaching is 100% free the whole time. There's no gimmicks. This isn't some trick to get you to go there. And, oh, well, the coaching is, the first week is free, and then no, there's not. It's free the whole time until you get to your goals. Got it, everybody? And then this, you hear when you get older, it's really hard to lose weight. Look at this, everyone. How about 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days? It's an older guy, but look at his blood work. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides 242 to 124. Everyone, that's 30 days. That is 30 days. I'd love for any of you to get involved, to comment, to put in the comments. I'll ask you a couple questions. One, if you were going to lose 20 pounds and you were honest about it, how long would you give yourself on any diet? I'm just curious as to what your thought patterns might be. And secondly, does anyone actually know the technical definition of what a calorie is? Because one of the things the researchers proved after 40 years of looking at 100 different studies on diets, I can't even pronounce half of them, on calorie counting, there was never one that ever worked long term. And that's pretty simple because the fact your body has no idea, what is this? I'm going to tell you, Guadalupe, in just a second. Hang on. First, what I want to do, Guadalupe and everybody else, I want you to understand, this is not some diet. It took 40 years of research to develop what this is. I did it 23 years ago. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 23 years. There are so many things about this that have really nothing to do with the weight loss. Although you all will be excited about the weight loss, it's the health benefits that you can get. And the thing is, instead of making a claim about it, this protocol, which is called R2M, got everybody that? It's called Race to Maintenance is the title. And it's published, the results are published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world. Now, is that a big deal? It's an enormous deal because you won't find anybody else that I can find on social media that, that are hyping all these diets, et cetera, that have one shred of medical evidence. This is irrefutable. What's called irrefutable medical proof is when you have a peer-reviewed human trial study that's published in one of these big medical journals. Okay, so now let's talk about, everybody says, what is this? What do you do? How do you do it? Okay, so one last time. The people who invented this, the researchers, are considered the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. I didn't invent it. There are no products to buy. So if you think at the end, oh, buy this magic elixir or this pill, no, it doesn't work like that. The researchers figured out that after 100 studies over 40 years, there was never a diet that ever worked long-term by counting calories. It was the most ridiculous thing we ever came up with, was counting calories, because the human body can't count a calorie, doesn't know what a calorie is. And so far, Wall Street, you have to buy shakes. No, you're buying a lot more than shakes. So number one, you're wrong. Okay, so let's try that first of all. You didn't even let me explain what it is, and you're already jumping ahead. So just be a little patient. So what the researchers did, the whole process was based on, it's going to blow up all your thought process, because you're all thinking it's all about counting calories, diet and exercise. You get a shake. It's nothing like that. So the researchers put together what they said would work. They picked foods for one quality, the greatest amount of nutrition in the smallest quantity of food. So 30% of what you would consume, you'd get a grocery list, you'd take it to the grocery store, but the researchers picked it out, not me. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. But instead of giving you calorie amounts for those, they give you serving sizes, okay? Then the other 70% of what you would buy and consume doesn't come from North America. It comes from around the world. So, for example, it's not just like a shake. No, it's about 6 other nutrient groups that come from places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represent enormous amounts of nutrition in very small amounts of food. So now they had the two components, right? Well, the third thing they did, because these foods had huge amounts of nutrition, they allowed her 5 days a week. It's called protein pacing. She had 4 meals a day. She started with this combination of these nutrients from around the world, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. That was 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. Now, what mattered was the timing. And the researchers, not me, I didn't create it, they actually got a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office on this for what's called protein pacing. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting, not water fasting, not restricted eating. What she did on those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic nutrients from around the world. But this time she ate them 8 times a day. Every hour and a half to 2 hours she was eating. The diabetics on this, no one had insulin spikes. Now here's what blows away any diet in history. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. These next medical results I'm going to talk about that are proven, and they're in the published peer-reviewed human trial studies. So I'm not making up anything. I don't make claims. We only give you real medical facts, right? So in a month's time, people's hunger went down 41%. That was the least remarkable thing that happened. You all should be aware that you're all suffering from this medical syndrome, whether you want to believe it or not, called TDOS. The T is for toxins that we're storing in our fat cells. The D is the deficiency of our food in North America, overweight and stress. And it's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, Peter Greenlaw, who said, oh, that's me. I did discover it. But why is that important to you? Because we now know that we are, whether you know it or not, you're ingesting herbicides and pesticides and Scotch Guard and Teflon right now in the foods and the air and the water that we're drinking. It's just, that's what's going on. And as those enter our body, the body takes that chemical and stuffs it inside what's called our visceral fat. The visceral fat is the fat around your organs. That's why so many of you complain to us, not just how much weight you've gained, but the amount of fat you have in your body. So we're literally, the body, to protect us, is storing the chemical in the fat cell, and the fat cell, due to the chemicals, expands. So you don't let anybody tell you burn fat. That's just a lie. You don't burn fat on a diet. You don't burn fat on exercise. You're born with a certain number of fat cells. You die with a certain number of fat cells, and your fat cells expand or contract. Well, you can clearly see her waist we can see day 1. And then look at her on day 30. That's with no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. So the number one reason to do this is to detox. No damn diet ever touches anything like what I'm sharing to you. There's not one shred of medical evidence out there on any of these diets ever removing a toxin from the body. This, first and foremost, is a detox. The second thing that's so powerful about this, they also measured inflammation. It came down 25% in a month. No diet, again, has ever produced anything like that. The diabetics on this, their need for insulin, it came down 41% a month. The next big part is maintenance. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. This picture you're looking at, they've kept it off for 8 or 9 years. Now, what you can all do, you see right above her head in blue, you can go to Google and you can type in the new health conversation. I'll switch back so you can see it again, but I just want to show you that there's nothing to buy on the website eventually. Or not eventually, I mean, so you type in the new health conversation at Google, there's the website, there's nothing to buy. What's on there is only the medical proof, including number 1 is an exclusive podcast with the number 1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. There's number 3, the actual medical studies. Totally open to you to go to see. Nobody else has this. You can express whatever opinions you want about diets, about meat, but the science doesn't change. You get to see the science. And number 4, there's more before and afters. There are people that lost 100 pounds with no loose skin. You'll see if you go there. And if you go there, we won't contact you. Why would we need to contact you when this is the medical proof that you all get to see? Then, once you see the medical proof, if you decide, you can get a free coach. I know this sounds like some kind of gimmick. There's no gimmick. You're not buying anything from us. You're buying food from your grocery store, or 70% of the food you're going to buy comes from these exotic locations around the world. It's not one thing or two things. It's a bunch of things in combination that represent massive amounts of nutrition in smaller quantities of food. It has nothing to do with counting calories. Nothing. Zero to do with counting calories. Shelley, the coaching is free. Did you hear that? The coaching. Free. Yes. All you're buying, Shelley, is if you took your groceries from last month, whatever you spent for the month, take 30% you're going to buy from the grocery store, and the other 70% of the money you have left will, if it doesn't pay for all of those nutrients that come in from around the world, maybe another $25 a week. It depends on what your total food budget is. But most people say they're shocked at how inexpensive it is because you're buying directly from the researchers. There's no middleman. You're not buying anything from us. There's no company. I mean, it's really cool. But again, Shelley, look at the results. Terry Ann, I'm interested. I need to lose 25 kilos. Okay, Shelley, great. So look at this, Shelley. Here you go. That's 30 kilograms she lost. 30, Shelley, in 3 months. So that's 10 kilograms a month. How excited would you be if you could do something like that? Please tell me. I know you think it's unbelievable that, yeah, wow, exactly. But look at the change, Shelley, in her body. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her stomach. Are you in the UK or somewhere in the EU? Fortunately, these researchers, they ship, you can get that in those countries. It's not everywhere. It's not in Africa. It's not in South America. It's not in the Caribbean. It's in the EU. It's in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, I believe, and New Zealand and Australia, of which we have a lot of people that are interested in this. But Shelley, I just give me an adjective beyond even wow. Yeah, I'm in Europe. Okay, well then there's no problem. It's absolutely available to you in Europe. The only thing is, Shelley, if you do decide you want to coach, it's important when you fill out for the coaches to contact you. Because Shelley, we're not going to contact you. Please understand, we don't do that. We're not not sales team. We're scientists, okay? But if you do decide you want to coach, make sure you put in your WhatsApp phone number. And if you don't have WhatsApp, you can download it. It's for free. Because for some reason we're having trouble with country codes, and then you don't think people are following up, and they're trying to call you, and they don't have the number, and we have no way to reach you to tell you, listen, we need your WhatsApp phone number. You probably have a WhatsApp phone number, but if you don't, it's okay too. So anyway, who else would like to ask me a question? So let's go back to the very beginning. Now, I want to show you some other things. Like I said, the thing, although this doesn't necessarily apply to you, Shelley, but look at his medical records. Look at that lab work. His A1C, his blood sugar went from 8.4 to 6.4 in a month, and his triglycerides went from 242 to 124. That's with no, he's a 60-year-old man. That shouldn't be happening, everybody. Should that be happening, anybody? With no exercise? Is that just crazy good? And this one, wait till you see this, everybody. This makes me smile every time. This lady, 200, that's 100 kilos, Shelley, in a year. Where's the loose skin? I know you can think, I'm not saying you, Shelley, but other people tell me, oh, you switched women. No, we didn't. It's the same person. And she was happy before, but now she's a lot happier. I know this. Look, I know for all of you, you're all skeptical because I see the people coming on and jumping off, and they don't, they want a 10-second answer. It's not a 10-second answer. Hell, it took them 40 years to figure this out. Nothing to join Wall Street. No, nothing to join. No, you're not joining anything. And let me explain that to you. Yeah, loose skin is not there. Right, Shelley, it's true. But after consult, how much to join? There's nothing to join. You're going to basically, I'll give you the best answer I can. Figure whatever you spent on food last month for a month. You're going to buy no food from your grocery store until you get a list that the researchers developed, but only 30% of whatever you spent last month of your total food budget, you're going to spend at the grocery store. That leaves 70% of what you spent last month that should all but pay for these exotic ingredients from around the world. At best, maybe another $25 a week in US dollars. Sorry I'm not sure about pounds or EU or whatever that is. All right. Look, I'm a researcher. I don't know everything. But when it comes to this, I kind of know a lot about it. I have written 4 best-selling books. I appeared 20 times on public broadcasting, and I've done over 1,500 live lectures around the world, including even in China, United States, and hospitals and universities and towns. But I will be honest with you, for 22 of my 23-year career in the medical world, all of that academia, you know what it meant? Zero. Why? Because the research wasn't out yet. It wasn't published in these peer-reviewed human trial studies. They're recognized around the world as the highest level of scrutiny of anything in medicine, or peer-reviewed human, published, peer-reviewed human, not a clinical trial, not a scientific paper, none of that, or doctor recommended. That means zero. That has no bearing. So please understand, that's what makes this so special. And you can see on her, look at her stomach on day 1, and then look at her stomach on day 30. Can you see that, Shelley? With no exercise. They're not against exercise, the researchers, let's be clear. They didn't let them exercise on this because then you would have said, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. They wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. I mean, but for all of you, isn't that great? Isn't that exciting? And Shelley, hopefully so Shelley, you see the new health conversation right there. And again, to review for all of you, if you want to find out or see the website, just do a Google search, the new health conversation, because this is not there's no way on this podcast there's no links. There, click on the new health conversation in the search, and there's the website. There's nothing to buy. Look at that. Number one, exclusive podcast with the top rated weight loss nutrition physiologist in the whole darn world. Now, I don't want you to believe me, but you might want to believe him. And then number three is all the medical studies. You can go see them. They're in the public domain. I always tell the censors that we don't make claims. None of this is a claim because it's published in the biggest medical journals in the world. You talk about scrutiny. There's nothing higher we know of in medicine right now than a published peer-reviewed human trial study. Thank goodness no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. Does this make sense to everybody? Do you all? Oh, Terry Ann, I'm ready. Great. And Terry Ann, did you get to hear me talk about what they did? How she lost? Think about that, everybody. That's 5 pounds a week, or 2.5 kilos a week. How many of you they'd love to do that in a month? I mean, 2.5 kilos or 5 pounds. I understand you're all struggling because you're skeptical, because you're trying to compare this to diets you know about, have been on, your friends have done. And if you've been on diets, you all know you yo-yo, you lose the weight and you gain it all back. And all the medical evidence, listen to this, how bad diets are now. This is the latest research. A landmark UCLA meta-analysis. What does that mean? That means a study of studies by Tracy Mann, who's considered one of the top weight loss experts in the world, and her colleagues. They published in American Psychologist 31 long-term studies on calorie-restricted diets and exposed to harsh truth. The analysis concluded that dieting itself predicts future weight gain. What they're telling you is that going on a diet ensures you're going to gain weight in the long run. This isn't my opinion. People get mad at me and they want to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm only reading from this is 31 medical studies. You want to believe some influencers or someone giving an opinion to me on? I'm not doing that. We only stick to medical proof. And then listen to this, everybody. Shelley, everybody. Harvard Medical School. Harvard, one of the top medical schools in the world. Stop counting calories. Here's what they said. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. Says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's what these researchers did. They have nothing to do with Harvard. Nothing. Zero to do with Harvard. I mean, do you all understand how powerful this is? Do you understand how this could change your lives? You're not going on a diet. The least important part of this is the weight loss. I know from your perspective you're excited about, but we know that's going to happen. That's not even, but the main thing this is a detox. And unless you believe, I don't care if you're living in Europe or South, wherever you are in the world, we're all breathing, drinking, eating chemicals of our own, of mankind created. And what the body does, because you're ingesting them. Did you all see the study? If you didn't, Google it. Microplastics in our brains and in our coronary arteries now. Well, what else are we storing in our bodies? Herbicides and pests, all these chemicals. This proved, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving this assisted the body in removing chemicals. Did you all know? See, the whole idea behind this podcast is to teach you. We're educators. I mean, we're the researchers of the researchers. We bring you the research. You could go Google it on your own, of course. But most of you are way too busy to do what we do on a daily basis, 7 days a week. Not quite 24 hours a day, but I'd say I'm between 14 and 16 hours a day. I'm working. Look, this is so important to the world. Listen, worldwide, we have 2.5 billion people overweight, and 1 billion of those, we got 1 billion people now in the world clinically obese. And the big study done actually out of England at the Lancet, one of the biggest, probably the #1 medical journals in the world. They finished the study in March of 2024, a little over a year ago. And they said that 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, but they went on to say, making obesity, listen carefully, everybody, obesity now they rank as the #1 cause of malnutrition in the world. What? Yeah, because your body doesn't even know what a calorie is, doesn't care about calories. It cares about nutrition. And because people are not getting the right amount of vitamins, minerals, botanicals, they're basically making themselves unhealthy. Yeah, they have food. They're getting food, but where's the nutrition? It's pretty simple. You're alive because of three things: air, water, not calories, nutrition. Am I making sense there? Because again, our job is not to sell you anything, it's to make you aware. And we always get critics. We always get people that want to come on and I'm open to that. But if you're going to come on and you're going to, argue your point, unless you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, don't waste my time because it's not a fair comparison. Because you're trying to give me what's called anecdotal evidence, which has not been vetted in the scientific community. This is the real thing, everybody. The real thing. Natalie, how much? Natalie, basically, you're going to spend, if you took your total food budget for last month, whatever that is, take only 25 to 30% of it, you're going to buy from the grocery store. And you're going to get a list for free of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. And oh gosh, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. Is it Nathalie? It looks like Nathalie to me. Okay, well, anyway, only 30% of the, now keep in mind, none of this is counting calories. They won't let you count, well, you can, but they don't want you counting calories. They're giving you serving sizes because the whole key to make this work was the researchers went and found foods where the number one criteria had nothing to do with calories, or it only had to do with the amount of nutrition that was contained in those foods. So the researchers picked the foods: proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. It's a pretty long list. For example, if you're going to do steak or hamburger, it's got to be grass-fed, what's called finished. It's all explained. And so there's no guesswork on your part. But that's only 30% of what you're going to consume, Nathalie, okay? The other 70% doesn't come from the United States. It was from other researchers who'd gone around the world. Literally, they'd physically gone to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. That 70% that you would buy from your last month's food budget will pretty much pay for those, people tell me maybe they spend another $25 a week. But look at the results. Natalie, where are you going to lose 5 pounds a week? And you've got to understand that the researchers, it wasn't just these foods they were having people, they invented a new way of eating based on these food groups. 5 days a week, Natalie, she ate 4 meals a day. Yeah. Started with these exotic foods around the world. That was breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list that you have. Dinner, grocery store list. And a fourth meal. It's got to be 4 meals. It can't be 3. They proved it because they tried that. They had people do 3 meals. They took the same amount of nutrition and they did 3 meals instead of 4. I don't know why exactly. They're not even sure why it worked, but it did. And they ended up getting a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office for this. And then 2 days a week out of 7, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Don't flip out on me. It's not fasting. It's not water fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. It's fasting via nutrition. No food from the grocery store. Only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. She was eating every hour and a half. But she was getting these huge amounts of nutrients. They call it nourishing her body. Nothing to do with calorie counting. The diabetics on this, no one had insulin spikes. In a month's time, hunger in the people, lots of people in these studies, hunger went down 41%. But the most important thing that they did, the researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. Now, why is that important? Because they proved that this is a detox. They were able to see herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon coming out of the body. That's why she shrank, because what we're doing to protect ourselves, Nathalie and everybody else, as we're ingesting these chemicals that you can't avoid, the body takes those chemicals to protect you and stuffs them in your visceral fat. That's the fat around the organs. That's why most of you complain about not how much weight you have, but how much fat. Look at her stomach, everybody. That's not photoshopped. With no exercise, no sit-ups, no crunches, no anything. Just this protocol. The next thing, no, it's a detox, but what else did they measure? They found inflammation. They measured it. No diet's ever touched inflammation ever before. It's the underlying cause, according to the medical world, of every disease out there. It came down 25% in a month. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing medical diseases. But it's in the published medical studies that you can go and see the studies right there at the New Health Conversation. Type that in Google. There's nothing like this. This is not some diet. This isn't about, it's completely different. And you get coached for free. We all got coached for free. And the researchers even provided for the patients. It's called the Blueprint for Success. All the yellows you see in here are daily videos from the researchers who created this, and they don't have any products to sell. Well, why would they do that? Because they spent 40 years of their lives trying to crack the code on obesity and health, and they did it. And they're recognized now. They're recognized the top people in the world. They invented this, not me. It has nothing to do with me. You want to listen to someone on TikTok giving you opinions? With all due respect, I see medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and fitness people and weight loss coaches. But how's it working, everybody? Go to the beach if you still have vacation left. Go to the mall today, wherever you are in the UK. It's a global crisis. The top researchers are now saying the greatest threat to mankind since the dawn of time is obesity. And in the United States, and from 1990 to 2025, that's 35 years, obesity has doubled. Do any of you really think any of these diets work? I'd love for you to tell me. Be honest. Let's just have a nice conversation. The only thing I don't allow, you don't need to call me names. You don't have to tell me that I'm BS. Look, I've spent 23 years of my life. I've written 4 best-selling books. I appeared on 4 of the biggest daytime shows in America. I've done 20 shows on public broadcasting and 1,500 live lectures around the world in hospitals and universities and towns. So there's no reason to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I've spent 2 decades learning what I'm sharing with you. We're educating you. That's the whole point of this whole podcast. Are any of you aware of another podcast like this anywhere in social media? I don't know. I look at as many as I can. I just see them yakking. They're giving you opinions. Oh, you can lose 20 pounds in a month and most of it's fat. Well, when you look at the medical proof, for example, one of the big things now is this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. Well, let's look at the medical results. This is for the Journal of the American Medical Association. My opinion shouldn't matter to you. Why would my opinion matter? But do you believe in medical science? Here's what they said. Our researchers at the Journal of the American Medical Association found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely eat between 8 and noon the next day, over a 3-month period, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of a 3-month study, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds, and the majority of the weight was lean muscle mass. So what's this? Most of what you're losing is fat, and you're going to lose 20 pounds in a month. The medical evidence, see, that's why you want to rely on medical proof. They're nice people, and I'm not going to disparage anybody, but I'm saying they don't have they're telling you something. They have no backing. There's no medical proof behind it. A before and after picture doesn't matter. These people came from the studies. And if you go to the website, you're going to see people lost 100 pounds, no loose skin. Look at my friend's daughter. Everybody, 60 pounds in 3 months. Now, you can think it's fake. You can. But look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her body with no exercise allowed. Who else is curious? So, Shelley, I guess I answered your question. I hope I did. And for all of you, the key is to go to right there in blue. See it, everybody, the New Health Conversation. It's free for you to go there and see the medical proof. I'll show you one more time. If you go to Google and type in you'll see it come up, the New Health Conversation, a Google search, and you'll find the website. Well, there it is. You have to click on that. And there it is. There's nothing to buy there. There's no products. It's just the medical proof. Number 1 is an exclusive podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. You might want to listen to him. They invented this, not me. I had nothing to do with inventing it. So again, everybody, and then you look at an older guy, Curtis, lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. And look at his blood work, his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4, his triglycerides 242 to 124. What do you all think about that? Taylor Morgan, what's the cost? Taylor, there's no products to buy. Let's start with that. So there's no, like, I'm going to bring out a bottle of magic elixir or some pill. No, it's no, 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 no. The researchers who created this are basically what they said was, we're going to abandon calorie counting forever, and we're going to pick foods for you. So if you took whatever you spent last month, total food bill, you're not going to, well, none of those foods you're going to buy. Maybe some of them you might actually, but you're probably going to spend about what you spent last month on just regular food, even if it's organic. The research is limited to the amount of food you'd buy from your grocery store to about 25 to 30% of whatever you spent last month. And the other 70 or 75% of the money that's left pretty much pays for these exotic foods around the world. Or maybe you spend another $25 a week at the most. But look at the results. Taylor, what do you think about that result? Taylor, how excited would you be to lose 5 pounds a week? And Terry Ann, you're cool. You go to that website, and all of you get free coaching. We coach you for free. Yeah, not a gimmick. Free coaching. How much is the coaching? $0. Because you've never done anything like this before. It's not a diet. We're not giving you recipes. It doesn't work like that. This, first and foremost, is a detox. So, Taylor, does that make sense to you as far as the cost goes? So, because you're buying food. You're not buying your food and then you're buying something on top of that. No, this is your food, but only 30% you're going to buy from organic foods in North America, and the other 70% these other researchers had found in Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So who else would like to ask me a question, or who else would like to know more about it? And we have 2,000 likes already. This is a really great podcast. So if you tap on the screen. And then, Taylor, but I want you to understand, you can go to that website. Taylor, let me show you one more time here. You type in the new health conversation. Now, Taylor, if you go there, we will not contact you. Why would we need to contact? There it is right there, you can see it, the new health conversation. There's the website. There's nothing to buy. It's only the medical proof. It's free to go there. We won't contact you, but if you like what you see, Taylor, then you can scroll down beyond these, and you see free coaching. And the other thing I should tell you, Taylor, as far as the cost goes, the 70% you're going to spend from these exotic foods around the world, listen to this, everybody. That first month, if this doesn't work for you, they'll give you all your money back. No questions asked. So essentially, the 30% of the food, obviously, Taylor, you're going to buy at the grocery store. They're probably not going to give you a refund, but there's no questions asked. They'll give you all your money back. There's no tricks. There's no gimmicks. And because nothing's 100%, of course, but it's so rare when everybody wants a refund. And we feel like we let you down if you get a refund. It's because we did something wrong. But the idea is that you're going to have an amazing, incredible result. So everybody, let's come back to the beginning. How many of you, if you just wanted to lose 20 pounds, how long would you give yourself? Because she did it in a month with no exercise. And it's not a diet, and it's not about counting calories. It's a detox. It's a revolutionary new detox where one of the big side benefits is this tremendous safe weight loss that's sustainable. She's kept that weight off for 8 or 9 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. How's that sound? I don't ever want to go back. I don't want to put that 40 pounds back on. But so many of you struggle with that. You do. How many of you, if we're honest, lose the weight and only to gain it all back and more? But the studies are even more frightening when they talk about, here's Medicare, all right? Just to save you time, this is what all the big studies are saying now. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, because they're trying to bring healthcare costs down, right? So Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. This is from Medicare saying this. Diets are not the answer. Our researchers, Medicare researchers, reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether dieting is an effective treatment for obesity. The studies showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. So they're basically telling you that 2/3 of you are going to end up weighing more than you are. And the sad part is most of you are not even staying on this podcast long enough to find out what it is. And is this real? Is it fake? Is it Well, you probably most of you don't remember the commercial for Memorex. That's so long ago when we had tapes. We don't have those anymore. But my point is for all of you, unless you think we're lying, unless you think that's fake, why wouldn't you want to know more? Why wouldn't you want to know how she did that, why she did it, how she kept it off for 8 or 9 years? How did Julie do this, everybody? 35 pounds in 37 days with no exercise. And look at the change in her body composition, from her neck to her stomach to her legs. Look at that. I mean, it's crazy in a good way. And if that's real and we're not lying to you, are you curious? I'm serious. Are you curious? You think it's fake? If it's fake, then you're on the wrong podcast. If you think we're lying to you, you're on the wrong podcast. You shouldn't be on this podcast because we're nutritional researchers for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books with one of the biggest medical doctors in the world, did 20 shows on public broadcasting. I'm not bragging. I just want you to know I'm not just some guy. This isn't just me yakking up here. A lot of people confuse and accuse me of that. We're here to help you. We're here to educate you. But you got to at least meet us halfway. We can't do your research for you, but we've provided the research for you to see that you could Google yourselves. But do you have that kind of time? Are you really nutritional researchers? I don't know. Maybe you are. I get a lot of pushback sometimes, especially Taylor Morgan. No, Taylor, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I was speaking to Terry Ann, and it's Shelley. And everybody, let's get some more taps on the screen. Somehow we bombed out at just 2,200 likes. I think my record is 20,000 maybe, but that was a much longer podcast. I've only been on for 41 minutes. So who else would like to ask me a question? Or, if you want to really see something amazing, everybody, look at this. My friend's daughter, 60 pounds. And yeah, that's it. Keep tapping on the screen for me, everybody. Let's get as many hearts and likes as we can get going. But everybody, do you think it's the same woman? I'm really a nice guy, so if you put something in the chat, we're not gonna have a hassle, right? I don't do that. I don't need to, because I have the medical proof on my side. None of it's my opinion. People may not like me, but the science doesn't give a darn about that. It only cares about the medical proof. You have an opportunity, all of you. You have an opportunity to change your lives starting today by looking at this free website. Just type in the New Health Conversation into Google. I'm going to show you all again. You go to Google, you type in the New Health Conversation, a Google search, you'll see, watch. Click on the New Health Conversation, there's the website, nothing to buy. We don't have anything to sell, so why would you buy anything? My books aren't even on there for sale. We're not doing that to you. We want you to have free access without any threat of being harassed if you go to the website. And then how about Curtis, everybody? Now, you can think it's fake. You're entitled to your opinion, but the reality is he really lost 40.8 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. You've got to understand that in these cases, when you see this, they were monitored by their doctors. They had to have medical proof that this really happened from their medical doctors. I mean, I understand it's completely crazy. Look at it, 10.2 pounds a week. That's a week, that's not a month. How many of you could even imagine something like this? And I would say that probably most of you, because I can tell by the people coming on and jumping off as fast as they come on, they're not even interested in finding out, is this real? Is it fake? But it's about your health. The weight loss is just a nice throw-in. Look at his A1C, everybody, from 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. Now let's look at some more medical proof. This gentleman, 43 pounds and 44.5 inches in a month. But his A1C, it was already pretty good, but 5.3 to 4.9, that's pretty extraordinary. Triglycerides, 169 to 58. His bad cholesterol from 105 to 68, and his blood pressure from 133 over 86 to 126 over 73. You think this is a diet? No diet's ever produced no 43.7 pounds in a month. And this is more realistic, I guess, for people. 5 pounds a week. Again, I love audience participation. Come on, share. Tap on the screen if you like the content. But I'd love to ask any of you, if you could even imagine losing 5 pounds a week, how motivated would you be to continue? This is kind of the low end that we see. I just showed you everybody Curtis. The other end, 10.2 pounds in a month and 52 inches from his neck to his hand. Look at his stomach, how much it went down. You can think it's Photoshop. I'm worn out defending the fact that this is medically proven. I'm not worn out saying that. But people don't make a decision. Don't make a decision until you go look at the medical proof for yourselves. There's the medical proof. Type in Google, the new health conversation. And by the way, you see free coaching. What? It's because if you go to that website, we're not going to contact you. No, we're not contacting you. Why would we need to contact you when that's the medical proof for you to see? What do I have to do I'm not even trying to convince you other than go to the website and look at the medical proof. We're not going to call you. No, we're not calling you. We want you to have the freedom to go and see. Why would you ignore medical proof, everybody? Why? I want to know, because I can't find anybody else on social media with one shred of medical evidence other than just opinions. Even medical doctors and chiropractors and PhDs and all these plethora of people now pushing weight loss products, Alexis, Mrs., keto, whatever. None of it works. None of it works long term. Zero. To show you how ineffective diets are. Now remember, at the New Health Conversation, nothing we give you is an opinion. We don't make claims. And this is, you can go look this up yourselves. Journal of the American Medical Association, 12-month study, pretty much on all diets. The title was Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs in Overweight and Obese Individuals. They looked at 48 trials, 7,286 people over 12 months. Okay? When they compared, and they named all the major diets. They did in the study: keto, paleo, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, fasting, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Cornish diet, the Zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, over and over again. 7,000 people. In a year's time, the most amount of weight loss on any diet you're on now to the least amount of weight loss you're on now in a year was 10 ounces. I didn't misspeak. 10. That's less than an ounce a month difference in weight loss. Does that sound to you like diets are working? And the weight loss in a year was 16 pounds. She lost 21 pounds in a month. What are you waiting for? Why wouldn't you go look at the medical proof? And she wasn't allowed to exercise. They measured her water, and she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Well, in every diet, I've got it here. Here's a synopsis from a bunch of studies, what the actual weight loss is on all these diets. So they named and they put them in groups. It wasn't just one diet they looked at. There were tons. So they looked at these different categories: low-fat diets, low-carb diets, keto diets, carnivore diets, macro counting, and time-restricted eating. This was 12 months, everybody. And again, when they looked at the least amount of weight loss to the most amount of weight loss in 12 months. So what I'm telling you is that the weight loss was a minimum, well, you tell me, in 12 months on, let's say, low-fat diets, for example, the weight loss was about 11 pounds in 12 months. So it ranged from a low of 11 pounds in a year to 16 pounds. But here's the downside. In every one of these, they said it's mostly water and 25 to 40% was lean muscle mass on all these studies. I don't have anything against those studies. I mean, against those, but they don't work. I mean, you can believe whatever influencer you want. There's really nice people on social media. They got whiteboards and they got all these credentials, but they have no facts. Their opinion is not a fact. And yet you could change your lives by going to that website right there, the New Health Conversation. I'd love for someone else to put in the chat. Do you have any questions? You want to know how, why, etc. Don't make a decision about the rest of your life based on your opinion. It's not based, you don't know what this is. How could you possibly think you understand or make a judgment on this? So we took all the guesswork out of it for you. The New Health Conversation, the only thing there is the medical proof. There's nothing else there. There's no gimmicks, no tricks, no anything. That's what's there. So again, I see people coming on and jumping off. And honestly, I'm kind of like saying to you, look, Is it logical to assume if you have medical proof that's been published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world, are you going to let your opinion or your skepticism override years of medical research to discover this protocol, which is not a diet, it's a detox? Or are you going to stick with your opinion and go on these diets that are all miserable failures? Here's another big study. Listen to this one. The science behind why diets don't work. This is not my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. They said, despite all the ads that say otherwise, it's very rare for people to lose weight and keep it off for good. Not only that, but 2/3 of people who diet regain more weight than they originally lost on any diet, ending up at a higher weight than where they were started. Our researchers reviewed more than 30 long-term studies showing that going on a diet actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risks of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. The researchers, not me, they're saying that 2/3 of you are going to end up weighing more. Now, why would that be? Well, you need to understand why. First of all, does anybody even know what a calorie is? Can anybody give me the real medical definition of a calorie? The sad part is your body has no idea what a calorie is. It's never counted a calorie. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for calories. We're alive because of three things: air, water, not calories, nutrition. So when you go on a diet, here's why they can't possibly work. You're reducing the quantity of the food you're consuming. But did you ever think about the fact that what you're really reducing is the amount of nutrition, which is the only reason we eat food in the first place? I know it tastes good, but ultimately it's to nourish our bodies, because the organs in your body, your brain, your heart, your kidney, your liver, your lungs, they all run on nutrition. They don't run on calories. They don't know what a calorie is. But you continue to count calories. You're all on diets right now, some form of counting calories. You know that you are. Now that may make you mad at me, but calorie counting is dead. It's over. It's finished. Harvard Medical School, Medicare, New England Journal of Medicine, over and over and again, they're saying that counting calories doesn't work. How would you explain the fact that Johns Hopkins Medical School, I have it right here, study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese. 86% of you are going to be overweight or obese in 4.5 years? Less than that now. Does anyone have the technical definition of a calorie? I'd love to hear it, because I've done, 1,000 podcasts in a year. I do 3 to 5 a day. You do the math, 7 days a week. I've had 9 people that have ever given me the technical definition of a calorie. And by the way, I didn't know what a calorie was 24 years ago before I became a researcher. I mean, I knew the term and I'd counted calories because that's what everybody was doing. That's what you're all doing. You're counting calories and you don't even know what a calorie is. I shouldn't say everybody, but almost everybody. Why are you doing that? Why are you following these diets that are proven to fail? 2/3 you gain more than you lost. And then this big study, another big study out of, where is it? I'll find it here in just a moment. They're talking about, oh, here it is. Now, this study was done by Tracy Mann. Nothing to do with the research who invented what she's looking at right here. Nothing to do with that. But she's considered, she's been at UCLA, University of Minnesota, one of the top weight loss researchers in the world for about 30 years. Listen to what they did in one of the recent studies. A landmark meta-analysis by Tracy Mann and her colleagues, published in American Psychologist, reviewed 31, not 3 or 1, 31 long-term studies on calorie-restricted diets and exposed the harsh truth about diets. The analysis concluded that dieting itself predicts future weight gain. So what they're telling, basically what they're saying is what all the research is saying, that if you go on a diet, 2/3 you're going to end up weighing more than when you started. So now you've gone backwards. If you don't believe me, go and Google The Biggest Loser, one of the saddest stories ever. Those people lost 100, 125 pounds. They've gained all their weight back, and no matter what they do, they can't lose weight anymore because they've slowed their metabolism down by about 25%. When you go on a diet and you lose lean muscle, guess what your body does? Not only does it slow down your metabolism, and that's why you plateau or gain all the weight back. Did you know that going on a diet actually reduces the effectiveness of your own immune system? Yeah, sadly, I can address that. My younger brother in 2011, before I knew any of this, was diagnosed with kidney cancer. My brother was 6'4", and from the time he was diagnosed until he passed away, it was about 8 months. And when my brother died. He weighed 115 pounds and he was 6'4". You talk about muscle wasting. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know any of the research that I now know. We didn't know about this muscle, all the things that are happening. But is it any coincidence that we're spending 4 times what the industrial world spends on, let's call it healthcare, but it's really sick care, and yet we have about the 100th outcome? Something's terribly wrong. I mean, it's our food. So the food manufacturers, you know what they figured out? You can go look this up. There's a book called Salt, Sugar, and Fat by Michael Moss. And he proved in the book the food companies over like a 10-year stretch spent $1 billion to come up with what they call the bliss point for food. What does that mean? It means that they figured out there was an exact combination of salt, sugar, and fat that would stimulate the pleasure in food. I mean, food makes us feel good, right? No question. And what they did MRIs on people's brains, on men, on adults and children. And they found that certain combinations of salt, sugar, and fat in food really stimulated that pleasure thing, but never enough to fill you up. And you know what the models they used to create the bliss point? Cocaine addicts. I mean, their scans, their brain scans. They've hired food engineers to look. Let me say to all of you, how's what you're doing working? And even if you've lost weight initially, it's fool's gold. You're kidding yourself. Because up to 25 to 40% or whatever pounds you're seeing go down on the scale is your lean muscle mass. And to give you an idea, to regain lean muscle mass, according to the experts, for each pound of lean muscle you lose, it takes you nearly a year to regain it if you do everything perfect and go to the gym, which we know is highly unlikely. And that's why they were saying in that one study that I just read to you, the more diet you go on, the more weight you lose, because you never ever regain all the lean muscle that you've lost. So each time you've already started with less lean muscle. Look at someone in a nursing home. Go and look at someone in their 80s. They're skin and bones. And what are they most terrified of? Falling down, breaking their hip, because it's going to be fatal. Why are they falling down? Because they don't have enough lean muscle mass. All of us suffer from a disease, no matter what you think, at starting at age 25, called sarcopenia, where we lose 1% of our lean muscle mass over our lifetime, unless you have a source of nutrition that can counteract that and prevent you from losing the lean. Because listen, she was not allowed to exercise and she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And instead of taking a year, she gained it in about a month with no exercise. I know it sounds like science fiction, but are you willing to take the chance this isn't real? Are you looking at this and thinking, well, that's not real, they photoshopped it? Really? So you're basing your decision whether you take the time to go to that free website. You can see it in blue there, everybody, the New Health Conversation, and see the medical proof based on your opinion. How would you evaluate this when you don't have the medical proof? I mean, I can tell you what they did, but that doesn't prove it. What proves it is what's on the website. The website says, yes, by doing this protocol, this is what happened, and it's published in the biggest medical journals in the world, proving it's real, proving it's not a fake deal. So I'm just asking all of you, who would like to ask me a question? Can we get some more taps on that screen? We've been stuck at 2,600 here for a little while. I've gone almost an hour. And I can tell my voice is getting scratchy, so I'm going to need to rest my voice here in a couple minutes. But who else? There go some more hearts. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Who else would like to ask me a question before I have to take a voice break? And then I'll try and come back on, I'll come back on maybe if I rest my voice maybe for 25 or 30 minutes, take a lozenge, then maybe I'll be better. But right now, take advantage of the fact that I'm still able to talk. Maybe you don't want me to. But really, more important than me, because I'm the researcher of the researchers. You can go and see the actual research. You can all see there in blue, the New Health Conversation. And notice, free coaching. If you go to that website, we're not going to contact you. Why would we need to do that? That's the medical proof. So let's go. I'm just going to show all of you again. Type into Google the New Health Conversation. You'll all see it there, right? Come on, computer, go faster. No, there it is. Click on the link, and there's the website. There's nothing to buy there. The only thing on that website is the medical proof, including #1, exclusive podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. By the way, there are no products to buy with this. You're buying food, and we're teaching you for free, coaching you for free, a completely new way of consuming food. That's the synopsis. No, 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 Amanda. This is the information on how to lose the weight and keep it off. That's the most important thing. It's got everything on there from it has the interview, and then it has, because it's not that, look, the side benefit is there's the gaining of the lean muscle, Amanda. But how do you lose the weight? I'm going to tell you right now. The researchers who created this, Amanda, who are on that website and would give you all the medical proof, and they don't have any products to sell. We don't have any products to sell because there's no products. The researchers had done, listen to this, Amanda, they had done 100 studies over 40 years of every diet out there. And they concluded that no diet they ever analyzed, people ever lost weight and kept it off. So they said, we need a new approach. And the approach was, you think it's simple, but it wasn't. They picked foods, the only criteria was how much nutrition they had. So you'd get a grocery list, Amanda. You physically would get it. You'd take it to the grocery store, but only whatever you spent last month total on groceries, you're only going to spend 30% at your grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. But instead of giving you calorie counts, they give you serving sizes developed by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. Not me, them. But the other 70% of what you would spend in a month, or you did spend last month, would go towards these exotic foods that other researchers had physically gone to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, Amanda, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of quantity of food. So now they had what you were going to consume. Now here's what also made it different, and this is what we teach you. They created a new way of eating called protein pacing. That's so advanced, the U.S. Patent Office gave them a registered trademark for this new way of eating called protein pacing. So what is it? Well, 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day until she lost her weight. She started with these exotic foods for breakfast, nothing from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store list that you would have, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods. It has to be 4 meals. It can't be 3, but that's until you lose the weight. Then 2 days a week, she did something that'll probably spin you, but just bear with me. She did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, but not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, Amanda, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, you're eating them 8 times a day. Yep, about every hour and a half or 2 hours, you're eating these huge amounts of nutrients in very small amounts of food. Diabetics on this, Amanda, no insulin spikes. In a month's time, they proved, Amanda, hunger went down for everybody by 41%. But the really big deal, Amanda, was this is a detox. Now, how can I say that? Because the researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis and proved this system was pulling the chemicals out of our fat cells where we're depositing them, whether you know it or not. If you look at her stomach on day 1, what the body's doing as we drink, breathe, and eat chemicals, even if we think we're doing organic, the body takes the chemical to protect us and stuffs it into the fat cell, and the fat cell expands. That's why most of you complain it's not about how much weight you have. Even if it's 15 or 20 pounds, it's how much fat you have. Well, those fat cells are shrinking because that's where the body's depositing these chemicals. Well, they proved this is removing the chemicals and the fat cells are shrinking. See, Amanda, don't let anybody ever tell you burn fat. That's a complete lie through a diet or through exercise. Total, complete fabrication. No, 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 doesn't work. So that was one thing. The second thing they found, it's never been shown before, Amanda. Remember, these are medical tests, and the results are published in these huge medical journals. So it's not just that these researchers are making a claim, it's published because it's been scrutinized by the top medical doctors and nutritional researchers in the world who have one job, and that's to discredit whatever you're trying to claim. That's why no drug would ever get approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. And yet, Amanda, I can't find anybody on social media that are showing you peer-reviewed human trial studies on what they're talking about, right? So inflammation came down 25% in a month. That's never been seen before. The next thing that's critical about this, Amanda, is sustainability. That picture's 8 or 9 years old. She's kept the weight off for 8 or 9 years. Some of these studies were started in 2012, 13 years ago. They've followed those people for 13 years. They've almost all of them kept all the weight off. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, Amanda, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. This is not a diet. So no, it's not just about how you can build lean muscle. It's about how you can detox your body in a safe way. And maintenance is pretty simple, everybody. For me, this morning I already had the world's most perfect meal for breakfast. I'll have a lunch and a dinner, and every couple months I'll do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast, not to lose weight anymore, but to continue helping my body get rid of the chemicals that I can't avoid that I'm storing. We're now all breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants from China from 2 weeks ago, whether you know it or not. See, the whole diet thing is just a complete myth. Because all the studies show, like when Medicare says, Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, diets are not the answer. Medicare's researchers studied the long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether dieting is an effective treatment for obesity. The researchers found that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that traditional diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. So Amanda, I don't care what diet you're on right now, according to the experts, you got a two-thirds chance of gaining more than what you lost, because diets are flawed. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. Amanda, I didn't know what a calorie was 24 years ago. I mean, maybe you do, but you're going to be in a very tiny majority of people who know actually what a calorie actually is. And why would we be counting calories when the body can't count calories? And yet that's the basis between every kind of diet out there, right? Do you agree with that, Amanda? This is so I'm going to look at. Great, Amanda. I'm happy that you are. If you don't mind, Amanda, how much weight are you looking to lose? And I'll give you an honest estimate about how quickly I think you can lose it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I love to. I love to have communication with people that are following me. It's really interesting. About 15. Okay, so Amanda, let me ask you this. If in the first 4 days you lost 5 pounds, how excited would you be? Because that's probably what's going to happen. That 15 pounds, there's no way you won't lose it in 3 or 4 weeks. No possible way if you follow the routine, and then they'll show you how to keep it off. How much would that excite you, Amanda? That didn't take you long to answer. That's why I know you're not a bot, because there are bots out there, right? This is real. I would be ecstatic. And keep in mind, Amanda, although they didn't let anybody in these studies exercise, you can certainly exercise. But again, Amanda, look, free coaching. And then the new health conversation, just to double check, Amanda. So in order to check it out, go to Google, type in the new health conversation, and that search will bring you to the website, which is free, and there's nothing to buy there. Because there's the website, Amanda. Only thing on there is the medical proof, including #1 exclusive podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He's worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and Olympians and power lifters and triathletes. So they're not against exercise. But for purposes of this, they were against it because of the fact that they didn't want to have exercise be an outlier. Otherwise, you could misconstrue it and say, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. No one was allowed to exercise. I know this makes fitness trainers crazy. What do you mean they gain lean muscle mass with no exercise? Impossible. No, actually, what you're claiming, you have no proof to disprove, because these the big medical journals, they vet this stuff. You think you just tell them, oh, 6 to 9. You better have the medical proof, medical analysis to back it up. That's what's so exciting about this, Amanda. It's totally real. And Amanda, I didn't even tell you. So 70% of the food you'd buy in that first month from Russia, Mongolia to those exotic foods, they'll give you all your money back if it doesn't work. You have to eat. You're buying a month's worth of food. There's no products here. You're not buying some kind of a magic elixir that we're going to, at the end, oh, buy this bottle. No. That's what's so exciting about it. And the researchers, they don't have a company. They don't sell any products. They're scientists. Thank goodness they never gave up for all of us after 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet out there. And they never found a diet in 40 years of research where people lost weight and kept it off. It's all an illusion. Yeah, I mean, Weight Watchers, really? See, part of my let's say dislike would be an understatement of diets. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life, and I never knew her thin, and I never knew her healthy. My mom's name was Grace, and I loved her. She was awesome mom. It didn't matter how big she was. But I saw the heartbreak of her getting fat shamed. years ago. And she called me up 24 years ago before I became a researcher. She said, you know, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. And I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day, 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Except 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. Amanda, I believe I witnessed my mom dieting herself to death. She did the grapefruit diet. She did the cabbage soup diet. She went to Weight Watchers for years, and I didn't know because I was a kid, right? But she'd come back and be all excited. She lost 4 ounces, and they gave her a blue star. She went every week to Weight Watchers. She'd lose 20 and gain 25 back. Lose 30 and gain. See, the whole premise that they're basic, I mean, their points is nothing really a way just to disguise calorie counting, but your body doesn't know what a calorie is. It has no idea. Only thing your body cares about is nutrition. That's what the researchers prove. You've seen it with your own family, what I'm talking about. Exactly. So Amanda, imagine you could be, you know, think of me as a flight attendant, right? Put your mask on first if there's a sudden depressurization. So Amanda, I mean, potentially, do you see how this could potentially help your family? I mean, look at my friend's daughter. Amanda, what do you think about that? 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face, arms, body. Please comment, Amanda. I love interaction with live people. It's so great. I miss so much. Amanda, not to brag, but I had done over 1,500 live lectures around the world before COVID. I've spoken in universities and hospitals and towns, and I loved, this is the closest I can come to that. Yeah, I've produced, I think, 1,200 reels on TikTok, but that's not the same as interacting one-on-one with people that are really bringing up real life, what's really going on, what they're seeing in their own families or their people they work with or people they go to church with. Just go to the beach today and look at America, right? Good, Amanda. And Amanda, do you believe it's the same woman? Because it's my friend's daughter. Now, I'm not saying you would think I'm that sinister that I would Photoshop my friend's daughter. You know, the reason we don't have to do stuff like that is because we're the only ones with peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Elzium, I'm going to explain it to you. I definitely do. You mean you definitely believe it's the same woman? I've gained your confidence. So Elizum, let me explain it to you. I'll come back. So Elizum, if you don't mind, because it'll a little bit of what I want to explain to you. Remember, this is live with me one-on-one. I've been a nutrition researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, some of the top medical doctors in the world, and did over 1,500 live lectures around the world, as I was just sharing with Amanda. So I'm not just some guy, okay? But what I'm going to share with you, I did not invent. What I'm going to share with you is not a product. There's no products involved. And it was invented by the top medical researchers in the world who spent 40 years, 100 studies evaluating every kind of calorie diet, and none of them ever worked long term. So what they did here, and you're right about the food, you would get a food list, but only 30, whatever you bought last month at the grocery store, you're only going to spend about 30% of whatever you spent to buy foods that these researchers, they researched for one quality. Could they give you the highest quality? So in other words, could they give you less food, but find foods with maximum amounts of nutrition? That's what they did. So 30% of what you would do would go to the grocery store, you'd actually get a grocery list. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. Give me a yes if that makes sense to you right away. Eliza, okay? Then the other 70% of what she spent her money on, or you spend your money on, doesn't come from the United States. It comes from other researchers who had gone around the world for 20 years. They'd gone to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. And the goal was to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition. And some of the nutrients came from these, and maybe you've heard of this, the blue zones, where people live to be 100 years old. So the combination of the foods that you would buy, only 70% from the grocery store, 30%, and the other 70% from these exotic foods around the world. But that's just the start of it. Then the researchers, based on this new model, which is based on nutrition, they created a new way of eating called protein pacing. It's so advanced that the US Patent Office gave them a registered trademark for this new way of eating. But it was developed by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. So now, what did they do? How did they eat? Well, 5 days a week, you would have 4 meals a day. You'd start with these exotic foods around the world, lunch from the grocery store list that you would get for free, the list is free. You got to buy the food. Dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, these exotic foods from around the world. So 5 days a week, you're going to have 4 meals a day. Excuse me, 2 days a week, you're going to do something else. Don't get sideways on me. Intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, absolutely no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, you're going to eat 8 times a day. You're going to literally eat every hour and a half or 2 hours. Now, what was amazing about this, now remember, these scientists did blood, stool, urine, fat, muscle, enzyme. They measured everything. And they found in diabetics, for example, no one had insulin spikes because the need for insulin came down 41% for the diabetics. But the biggest factor behind this, why it's not a diet, it's a detox. And what they proved in the studies and published was that by doing the blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, that they found this was helping the body get rid of the chemicals that we're storing inside our fat cells. As a matter of fact, the reason they didn't let anybody exercise, because they didn't want it to be that you'd say, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with that. And when they measured and found that the body was removing the chemicals, they also realized that not only was she not losing lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise in a month. But so the detox is a huge part of this. But the second thing that it did that's never been seen before, it lowered inflammation, which everybody suffers from. Those little, the stiffness, the little aches and pains, that's all inflammation. It went down 25% in a month. This has never been seen on any diet. Number 3, the key to this, it's called R2M, race to maintenance. The key to it is keeping the weight off. I lost 40 pounds or 20 kilos in 7 weeks. And I've kept it off for 23 years. So the other thing is, notice there's a free website. See it right there? That's you type that into Google, the New Health Conversation. But also free coaching. No, we coach you for free, including the initial consultation is 100% free. There's no charge for coaching. Coaching's free. Why wouldn't you go explore this? Let me show you. You go to Google. Everybody who wants to see the proof, go to the New Health Conversation. There's nothing on that site to buy, not my books, not anything. You can't buy anything on that website. You click on it right there, the New Health Conversation. There's the website. You'll see there's no buy buttons, there's no anything. Only thing on there is the medical proof, including number 1, an exclusive podcast interview with the number 1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. They invented this. They have no products. They have no company. You don't buy from them. You don't buy from us. 30% of what you all would buy is from the grocery store. You get a grocery list, okay? Of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables, but not calorie amounts. They give you serving sizes, okay? And the other 70% of the food comes from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that have huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food. It's all there, the medical proof for all of you to see. But if you like what you see, scroll down and you can see free coaching. The coaching is free. It's not some gimmick. It's not some trick. The coaching is free. Does this make sense to everybody? I'd love for anybody to ask me a question. And where are we? We're at 2,600 likes. Come on, we can get to 3,000. Yeah, Eliza, does that make sense to you? Did I explain it? But again, there's an even more detailed explanation there, the New Health Conversation. Let me show you where it is, Eliza, if you do decide to go there. So you type in the New Health Conversation. Give me a yes if that makes sense, okay? Okay, so there it is. You click on there. Now, I want to show you the part. So number 1 is the podcast with the number 1 weight loss researcher in the world. But number 2 is a longer video explanation of exactly what they did, much more detailed than what I'm able to do on TikTok. Number 3 are the actual medical studies, Eliza. You can go and see them. You click. Now, you could Google on your own and find the studies, but we've made it easy for you. It's right there. And then 4 are more authentic before and after pictures. Let me show you one that'll shock all of you, but it makes me really happy for this lady. Look at this, everybody. How about 200 pounds in about a year? Where's the loose skin? There isn't any. No surgery. That's what this is capable of. Now, you can think it's Photoshopped, whatever you want to think, but it's not Photoshop. And my friend's daughter, she didn't lose 200 pounds, but she lost 60 pounds in 3 months. How many of you would be excited to lose 20 pounds in a month? let alone 60. But see, here's the key. The weight loss is sustainable to get to her goal. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her body. Is it the same woman, everybody? I know it is. People accuse me all the time of switching women because it's so dramatic. But the main reason to do it, as happy as she's about the weight loss, it's about her energy, lowering stress, mental fog, sleeping better at night, even at a younger age. See, the thing is that we're all living less than lifestyles. We're accepting our age. Well, I'm getting older, and no, that doesn't have to be like that. I mean, I'm not saying this is the fountain of youth, but if you can figure out a way to give your body enormous, yeah, Eliza, wow, yeah, exactly. If you can figure out a way to give your body enormous amounts of nutrition in the least amount of food, you're just going to work better. That's it. I know it sounds too simple, but it took them 40 years to figure it out. I didn't figure it out. It's not my protocol. So, Eliza, is it safe to say you're going to go to the website and see the medical proof? Can you take a chance, Eliza? What if all of you? Let's assume you think this is not real. Then go prove us wrong. Go look at those medical studies that have been scrutinized by the top medical and nutritional researchers in the world. That's why. And again, I'd love any of it, whether it's Eliza or Amanda, if you're still there, or any of you. Can you find anybody on social media? Have you ever seen a podcast like this that's showing you? I haven't seen anybody showing you any medical proof at all. They're writing on whiteboards, and it's a chiropractor, it's a doctor, all nice people. I'm not going to disparage them, but comparing an opinion they're giving you to 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, do you see how ridiculous that is? Why would you continue to do something that's been proven over and over and over again not to work? Eliza, you came on late. Let me read you sort of a summary here. A landmark meta-analysis by Tracy Mann. Who's Tracy Mann? She's considered one of the top weight loss researchers for the last 20 years or so. And it says that a landmark meta-analysis by Tracy Mann and her colleagues published in the American Psychologist. They looked at 31 long-term studies on calorie-restricted diets and exposed the harsh truth. What's the harsh truth? What do you hear that what they found? The analysis concluded that dieting itself predicts future weight gain. So they're not saying you're just going to go back to where you started. They're saying you're actually going to gain weight by going on a diet. Because all these diets are flawed because you're counting calories. Does anyone even know what a calorie is? The medical definition? I didn't know what it was 24 years ago. I just took people's word for it. Cut calories, you're going to lose weight. Well, that's now been debunked even by Harvard Medical School. Let me read this to everybody. Stop counting calories. They said, Harvard, we've been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, 3,500, and you lose about a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They went on to say, the idea of a calorie in, calorie out, when it comes to weight loss, is not just antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's exactly what these researchers did, and they have nothing to do with Harvard. When you have Harvard Medical School telling you stop counting calories, do you think you should just ignore it and follow a nice person on social media that's giving you opinions? We need to change the world, everybody. We need to change the trajectory of where we're headed. Because according to Johns Hopkins Medical School new study titled Study Predicts Obesity Apocalypse, they use the word apocalypse, by 2030, 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese in 4.5 years. What they're talking about, the medical system won't be able to support this. It'll completely collapse. Right now we have right today as we speak, about 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% obese, but 50% are pre-diabetic. If those people become diabetic, which is a high likelihood, are we going to have enough medicine? Are we going to have enough glucophage or metformin or Wegovy? And now we're taking diabetic drugs and giving them to people that are overweight. I'm not against the shots. But when you see the pitiful results of it, well, you be the judge. I'm going to read to you from a big study. You all can go look it up. It's in the public domain, the New England Journal of Medicine. Because some of you may be on the GLP-1s or you're considering. We're not against the GLP-1s. They're helping diabetics and they're helping people morbidly obese. But our responsibility as researchers is just to show you the research. This is the New England Journal of Medicine. You all can look it up. I'll read slowly the title. Once weekly semaglutide in adults with overweight or obesity. But this is, again, the New England Journal of Medicine, probably the number two or one or two medical journal in the world. They did the analysis. The study was 68 weeks. That's a year and 4 months. Right from the study, I'm just going to read it to you. The weight loss after 68 weeks was 32 pounds, and of the 32 pounds people lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. Now, I'm telling you right now, I'm working with a bunch of people that are on the shots, because every person on the shot is losing lean muscle mass, and they want to try and avoid that. Because people coming off the shots, they're gaining like a half a pound a day, not a week. Because when you lose lean muscle, what does your body have to do? The brain slows down your metabolism. Well, guess what happens when your metabolism slows? You can't process as much energy, you're going to gain all the weight back, which they do. This is the reality of where we are. Good, Elysium. Great. So do you understand to go to the website? Because it really does help with menopause, by the way, also, Elysium. And we'll make sure you put that on there because we want to get you a woman coach who's been through it that really can explain it to you and for your particular. That's why we do free consultations, Elysium. Does that make sense? It's not a weight loss program. It's a health program. Elysium, we have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have a lady 91 years old. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with a guy with a heart transplant, kidney transplant, no gallbladders, let alone menopause and many of the other. I mean, we got people with hypothyroidism, with goiter, with, it's just, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical disease. All we're sharing with you really is what's already in the public domain in these huge medical studies. We always tell the censors this. We don't make claims. Everything we have is backed up, and you can all go read it yourself. So it's not a claim if it's in the public domain and everybody can see it. A claim is unsubstantiated, which is what pretty much everybody on social media is doing, and that's why they get in trouble. We don't do that. We don't need to. We have the medical proof on our side. Yeah, Eliza, isn't that wonderful? Good, Sunshine. Right. Now, Sunshine, when you go there, do you notice right above her head in black, free coaching? Because Sunshine, if you go there, we're not going to contact you. There's no way. We don't have time to do that. But if you do decide, once you get to see the medical proof for free, you can scroll down and you get a coach for free the whole time. So Sunshine, not just the initial consultation, but the whole time until you get to your goals, and then they teach you how to keep it off. She's kept the weight up for 8 or 9 years. Sunshine, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. Let me show you, Sunshine, a couple more pictures that'll blow your mind. Look at Julie, Sunshine. What do you think about that? 35 pounds in 37 days. With no exercise, by the way, Sunshine. Not that they're against exercise, and you certainly can exercise, but that's why you need a coach, because they'll go over all that with you for free. And then look at this one. Look at April, my friend's daughter. 60 pounds in 3 months, Sunshine. 60 pounds. I'm not saying you need to lose 60 pounds, but look at the thing I want you to impress upon you. She's losing 5 pounds a week until she got to her goal. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her stomach. Sunshine, what do you think? Yeah. So do I have your attention now, Sunshine, if I didn't before? Or any of you, pay it. Look at that, everybody. Oh, Sunshine. Good. And you understand, Sunshine, it's free coaching. Do you understand? It's free because you've never done anything like this. They'll explain it. Look, so Sunshine, here's how it works. I'm going to give you the short version. 30% of the food, whatever you spent last month total on food. This month, you're only going to, 30% is all you're going to need to spend on specific foods that the researchers who created this will give you a list of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. No calorie counting, Sunshine and everybody else. Did you hear me, Sunshine? No calorie counting, only serving sizes. But that's only 30% of what you're going to spend of what you spent last month. About 70% of what's left that you didn't spend because you're not buying any more food from the grocery store goes towards these exotic foods, Sunshine, that made this work. They came from places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. It represented huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food. It is not a diet. All right? So now the researchers who created this had the foods you were going to ingest, but it stops there. Then they created a new way for you to eat called protein pacing. I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. It was so powerful that the U.S. Patent Office gave them a registered trademark, these researchers, for this new way of eating. By the way, these researchers, they don't have anything to sell. There's no products. There's no company. You're buying food. But how you consume it now becomes critical. So 5 days a week, you're going to do something called protein pacing. And the coaches are going to go over all this with you, but I'm just giving you the high points, right? So 5 days a week, you're going to have 4 meals a day, sunshine. You're going to start with these exotic foods in the morning for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a fourth meal. And you got to have 4 meals, sunshine, after dinner, the exotic foods around the world. So think about being on a diet and being able to eat 4 times a day. You're not going to be hungry. Then 2 days a week, now don't spin out when I tell you this, 2 days a week, you're going to do 2 days a week out of 7. You'll do something called intermittent nutritional fasting for 48 hours. And on those, by the way, it's not fasting, it's not water fasting, it's not time restricted eating. It's fasting with nutrition, but no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world that you would have 8 times a day. You're going to eat every hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, we have diabetics on this, no insulin spikes, but in a month's time, sunshine, people's hunger went down 41% in a month. 41%. But here was the big thing, sunshine. The main reason to do this and why it works, and it's not a diet, it's a detox. Now, how can I say that? Because the researchers did analysis of blood, urine, stool, and fat and proved that this protocol was assisting the body in removing toxins from our body. The reason that she shrank so much, what our body's doing to protect us, and I'm sure you would agree with me, people, if you've got 60 pounds, I'm sure that you would, and don't get mad at me, but I know based on her and everybody else, that they always complain. It's not just say that the 60 pounds is enough, but it's the amount of fat I have on my body. Well, what's happening is, unknowingly to you probably before this podcast today, we're all ingesting chemicals in the water, the air, the food. As they enter your body, sunshine, your body's taking that chemical and stuffing it inside your fat cell. And the fat cell expands like a balloon, right? And people that try and tell you, sunshine, that exercise or your diet burns fat, it's a complete fabrication. You're born with a certain amount of fat cells, you die with a certain amount of fat cells, and those fat cells can either expand or contract. Well, in the weight, when people are gaining, even if it's 10 pounds, they have excessive fat. But look at this reduction in her, or look at this as an even better example in Kristen. She only had 30 pounds to lose. But look at her stomach. Can you see that, sunshine? That's 30 days with no exercise. Or when you look at Julie, look at that, sunshine. Her whole body shrank. Is that crazy good? Sunshine, is that crazy? Do you understand this could change your life, sunshine? So let me explain something to you. You've got 60 pounds to lose. Okay, I would say you're 60 pounds. On the low side, probably by November, you could be down 60 pounds. So imagine Thanksgiving, walking in, being 60 pounds smaller than you are now. And no one gets hungry on this because hunger is not based on calories. Your body has no idea, sunshine, what a calorie is. That's why they don't want people counting calories, because it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Your body only cares about one thing, nutrition. That's what these researchers did. That sounds good by November. Well, sunshine, you can do it. Sunshine, let me ask you, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired from the standpoint you're just sick and tired of the weight? And sunshine, have you tried other things? It's really important. I'm just curious because I'm a researcher. I always like to ask people because I'm trying to compare this with anything else that's out there in the marketplace. But look at this guy. Look at this, sunshine, also. Is a 60-year-old man, 40 pounds in a month, sunshine. That's why I'd rather underpromise and overperform. You may lose that 60 pounds in 3 months. I've seen people lose it in 2 months. But everybody's a little bit different. But I'd rather underperform. Underpromise and overperform. I think you'd be very happy with that. But if you lost it by November, you'd probably be ecstatic. So if you lost it by the end of in October, you'd be even happier. I don't know because I can't predict it, right? Yeah, she said. But I tried other things, but it didn't work. Of course they didn't work. Can any of you name a diet that's ever worked long term? I'd love for anybody to put in the chat. We have a lot of people on here now that are doing this, but we're stuck at 2,600 likes, everybody. Can everybody just tap on your phone? You just tap on the front of your phone. That's kind of my payment for an hour and 34-minute podcast to give you free medical proof. That's my reward, the hearts, seeing those hearts go up, because it means I'm making a difference. Otherwise, why should I do this? If people aren't benefiting from this, why in the world should I do it, right? So, sure will. Okay. So you understand you can go to the website. You see it right there, the new health conversation, Sunshine. I know if I'm double checking, I always double check. So you go to Google. Do you see that, Sunshine? You type in the new health conversation. Make sure you all write it down and put that in Google search. It'll take you. There's the link to the new health conversation. There's the website. There's nothing to buy there. The only thing there is the medical proof. But also, is there a more detailed video explanation of what you do, Sunshine? There are the medical studies. You literally can click on it. It'll show you the medical studies. And if you like what you see, Sunshine, once you go there, scroll down and you get a free coach. I also should tell you, Sunshine, and everybody else. Now, let's review real quickly. 30% of what you would spend your money on, of what you spent last month from the grocery store. The other 70% of these exotic foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Those researchers, in the first 30 days, they'll give you 100% of your money back if it doesn't work. Now, the food from the grocery store, you're not going to get a money back guarantee probably from them, but you are going to get from those research. They'll give you 100% of your money back, no questions asked. Sunshine, have you ever heard of anything like that, where they're willing to put their money where their mouth is? Oh, good, we're at 3,400. We really jumped. Come on, everybody, tap on that screen. Let's get going. I've been an hour and 35 minutes. I thought I was going to have to quit about 30 minutes ago. My voice was waning, but now I've rallied. Part of what rallies is seeing that this makes a difference to all of you. Who else is teaching you this? Who? I'm open. Tell me who it is. Who on social media? This should be the biggest website on the planet. If we have 2.5 billion people overweight, and they're all counting calories, and they're all getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. I mean, from 1990 to 2025, 35 years, obesity rates in the United States have doubled. Do you think we have more diets in 2025 than we did in 1990? Of course we do. None of them are working. It's fool's gold. You're being tricked. I mean, when you look at the medical, I know I've got an overview here somewhere. Let me give you an overview. Oh. Here's a short description from these big research, the science behind why diets don't work. This isn't my opinion. Listen to what the researchers said. Despite all the ads that say otherwise, our research has found that it's very rare for people to lose weight and keep it off for good. Not only that, but 2/3 of the people we analyzed on diets regained more weight than they originally lost, ending up at a higher weight than where they started. A review of more than 30 long-term studies showed that going on a diet actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. What are you doing? What are you all doing? No one, she's saying. Oh, Sunshine, you're tapping. Amanda. I mean, Amanda, Amanda, sometimes I feel like I guess I am the canary in the coal mine. Amanda, do you understand I'm up against the whole establishment? Because, I mean, there's a quote here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Amanda and Sunshine, please pay attention. This is a synopsis from the big-time researchers. The grand myth of traditional diets, a devastating cycle of failure and false promises. Listen to this. Traditional diets, be they low-fat, low-carb, keto, carnivore, macro-counting obsessions, or the latest fad, time-restricted eating, seduce millions with vows of dramatic weight loss and radiant health. But the brutal truth, etched in decades of unyielding scientific evidence, shatters this illusion. These diets deliver fleeting illusions of progress, followed by inevitable weight gain, negligible long-term medical benefits, and the hidden toll on your body of losing the crucially important 25 to 40% of your lean muscle mass and not fat, accelerating your slowdown of your metabolism and slowdown of your own immune system. Basically, what they're saying is these diets are making you unhealthy. Now, you don't have to believe it. Do whatever you want. Go count calories if you want. We're here to help you. We're here. We think somebody's got to stand up for humanity and say, wait a minute, this is crazy. And what makes it so fascinating is the big medical journals have proved that this works. It's safe. It's irrefutable medical proof. So that's what I always tell the censors. I'm not making a claim. I'm reading. This is in the public domain. You can go look at it. As a matter of fact, we make it easy for you. If you go to the website, the studies are there. You click on the link, boom, there they are. Please be as skeptical as you want, but don't make a decision based on an opinion when you don't have all the facts. Why would you do that? Because we've been so brainwashed that it's calories in, calories out. I get so many. Yes, I typed other thing, but it didn't work. Sure will. Yes, thank you. I'm tapping. No one. So Amanda, is this, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Be honest. Is this of real value? Does the world need some sanity? Does the world need some real medical proof, not hype? We're in a crisis. I read to all of you, Amanda, you heard me read. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. I didn't read the second part of the study. They said, listen to this, Amanda. By 2048, all American adults will become overweight or obese. Oh my God, do we wait till we get to 100% to say, you know what, I don't think this calorie counting thing's working? This is crazy, isn't it? Crazy? Or is it just me? And so few people come on, so few. This is their lifeline. It's like they're on the Titanic. Yeah, we hit an iceberg. There's plenty of time to get in a boat and get a life jacket and a blanket, or stay on deck and think it's not going to sink. That's what we're doing. It is going to sink. If you think you're going to go on a diet and count calories and lose weight and keep it off, you're smoking a hope dope. I made that up, of course. I'm not suggesting anybody smokes anything. But the proof is now everyone has to go back on a diet after dieting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The proof is how everyone has to go back on a diet after dieting over and over. Yeah, Sunshine. Oh my God, I'm tired of being fat. Did I share that with you, Amanda and Sunshine, about my mom? But I will. I'll share it again for everybody. And why am I so adamant about this whole thing? My own mother, everybody, was morbidly obese. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. I loved the hell out of her. Her name was Grace. And I lived as a child or a kid, through fat shaming, when that wasn't even a term. All I knew is my mom would come home crying. We'd go to the grocery store and kids would be laughing and pointing at her and calling her names and fatty all that stuff, right? And my mom, bless her heart, she went on every kind of diet that there was. She would cut diets out of the National Enquirer. And 24 years ago, or maybe it's 25 years now, she called me up one day and said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend 24 hours thin, one day, not 1 week, thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I'll never forget, and I'll probably never get over how devastated I was and still am. My mom, like I said, bless her heart, I see her lose 25 pounds, gain 30 back. Just what you were saying, Amanda, about the proof is how everyone has to go back on a diet after dieting over and over. My mom did the grapefruit diet. She did the cabbage diet. She went to Weight Watchers for years. When I was a kid, she'd be all excited. She'd literally lose 4 ounces in a week on these diets, just like, tuna fish. That was it, all she ate, whatever the diet was, right? And she'd come home with a gold star or blue star from Weight Watchers. I don't fault them, but it doesn't work. It's just nonsense. Points are nothing but counting calories. And I'm just sick and tired of having people tell me that, the only way to lose weight is to, count calories. But the problem with that is that all, big studies, when there's studies saying why you shouldn't count calories, and they said, our research found that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. They went on to say, counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, 2 factors that are known to cause weight gain. So that's why you're gaining weight on these diets. I mean, it's just so silly, but it's so serious. Do you know that being obese, according to Harvard Medical School, leads to 40 known diseases? Of my mom, she was on so many pills at the end, it was crazy. Beta blockers and water pills and high blood pressure meds and cholesterol and blood sugar pills and it was in antidepressants, you name it. Because she was depressed. Because, she'd lose weight initially on all these diets, and then it'd all come back. And she said, well, that diet didn't work. So, Amanda, it exactly proves It exactly proves what you were saying. But imagine, Amanda, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. And this lady and my friend's daughter, 60, that's about 8 years ago. She's kept the weight off for 8 years. But this one blows me away, everybody. He's a 60-year-old guy, 40 pounds in a month, 52.5 inches. But look at his blood work. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. So if you all really are serious about changing your lives, if you really want to change your lives, then I would invite you to go to the website, which is the New Health Conversation. You go to Google, go to Google, type in the New Health Conversation, and you'll see it will take you to the link for the website on Google. Just there's the link, click on it. And then and the website, there's nothing to buy there. There are no products. The only thing there is the medical proof, including number one is an exclusive podcast with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the whole world. Why wouldn't you go there? Why wouldn't you go there? Because we're not going to contact you if you go there. But if you like what you see, you can scroll down and you get a free coach. Guess how much the coaching is, everybody? $0. We got coached. There's no way people can do this without getting coaching. You even would get, not only did you get a grocery list of what to buy at your grocery store, and I forgot to mention this to all of you, but you get this. This is what the researchers developed for their patients in the studies. So what Kristen followed, for example. And each one of these yellows are videos, instructional, from the researchers, explaining to you why this is safe and how it helps you and how this is going to change the world. And they don't sell anything. So the researchers did this because they wanted to assure if someone did this, they would do exactly what they did in the medical studies, these published medical studies. See, we all get fooled because we hear this term, well, they did a clinical trial. It's doctor recommended. Oh, there's a scientific ingredient in this proven to, but that doesn't mean anything in the medical world. You need to have real human beings studied, and then your results are scrutinized by the top medical doctors and nutritional researchers in the world in this case. Like no drug if it's approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study, not a clinical trial. Clinical trial is like a dress rehearsal. It's not the real thing. That's why this has so much credibility and why you should at least be curious enough to go there and see the medical proof, all of you. So for any of you coming on and jumping off, all we're saying is you don't have to listen to me, but in blue there, the New Health Conversation, it's a free medical website where you can go and see the medical proof. So who else would like to ask me a question? Sunshine, you're not going to be fat anymore. If you're sick and tired, if you're sick and tired of that weight, because also, Sunshine, I'm sure, or any of you that are overweight, what are the prices you're paying for that weight? Even if you're accommodating, even if you're, because the downside of like obesity, like in my mom's case, it leads to about 40 known diseases according to Harvard Medical School. But I understand if you're, I saw my mom. I don't know how she did it. She'd go on these diets and lose 20 pounds and gain 25 back and say, okay, now I want to go on a new diet. Exactly what you said, Amanda. That is so poignant. And all of you have to understand, well, you know what our biggest limitation is, everybody? Potentially. Are we going to run out of coaches? But so far what's happening, people are going on this, they're having such an amazing result, and maybe their sister or brother or cousin or someone they work with, what the heck did you do? And so they come to us and say, I want to help my friends. So we teach them, it's, how to become coaches because they're not relying on their own expertise, because the blueprint for success is really the coach. If anything, they're there as a cheerleader for their friends, because obviously they're not trained to be, but we've got medical doctors that are doing this. They're coaching people for free, or their patients, for example, nurses, PAs, fitness trainers, weight loss, because again, this is rocking the world. It's rocking the medical world. No one's ever seen anything like this. Who else would like to ask me a question? Nobody? Okay. Well, I need to rest my voice anyway, although my voice is better than it was like an hour ago. It's crazy, right? Oh, wait a minute. I got to stay. We're at 4,900 likes. Come on, let's get a few more taps to get me to 5,000. The hearts give me the incentive to keep doing this because I'm not selling you anything. I don't have any products. I don't make anything. I'm a nutrition researcher. But this changed my life. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That should excite all of you. So, okay, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to hit 5,000. Come on, everybody, tap on the screen. 5,000, yay, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody, okay? All right, I'm going to take a brief rest here for about, let's say 20, 30 minutes at the most. And then what I'll do is I'll come on and do another podcast, probably. So that'll be around, let's say, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or a little bit after. And then I'll start again about 2 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. So tell your friends about it. Maybe they want to come on and hear this. But everybody, your friends right now, you can turn them on. They can go to the New Health Conversation. It's free. We won't even, we will not contact you if you go there. You have to contact us. I think that's pretty fair, isn't it? All right. So you get to see everything up front. And so you don't have to get a coach and then you get to see the information. That's what people are doing to you as a way to trick you to buy their recipes or whatever the hell they're selling. None of that works. It's just nonsense. They don't have one shred of medical evidence for what they're claiming. Not one shred. As I look at within 4.5 years, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Do you really think this? And they're nice people. I'm not going to disparage them. But if I just, as a scientist, said, where's your peer-reviewed human trial studies about what you're claiming? They don't have any. So their claims are unsubstantiated. You do, if you want to follow opinions, go for it. Because we're not here on this podcast to talk you into or out of anything. All right, everybody? All right, well, I'm going to end this podcast and I'll come back on probably in about 30 minutes at 11-ish Eastern Standard Time today. All right, everybody? Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you all.